Hey everyone, my name's Amy, and I was just about to head to Target when I thought I should bring you guys along with me. I'll be able to show you guys some healthy things that you'd be able to find at this nationally recognized store. So, if at any point you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Also, check me out on all of this social media so that you can see daily tips and information about nutrition, fitness, and veganism. Now, let's go. So here I am at my local Target, and most people wouldn't think of Target as a good place for grocery shopping, but it's a surprisingly good place if you go to a super Target. They've got a lot of vegan options and even a little bit of a produce section. One of the big things that you'll see at first when you go over towards the produce section is a big area of kombucha and other fancy drinks. Now, if you've seen my video on kombucha, you would know that it's not the superfood that people make it out to seem, but I do still drink it as a treat sometimes. Now, Target does have a pretty decent produce section with loads of different types of fruit and even some vegetables such as tomatoes, onions, potatoes, and sometimes sweet potatoes. However, their stuff can be a little bit higher priced than your general grocery store. Now, most vegans don't necessarily want to go into the meat section. I mean, it's understandable to not want to be reminded of the fact that animals are still dying. However, you can go into that section and find things such as Beyond Beef, or the Beyond Burger, and Gardine's new plant-based burger, and even Light Life breakfast links right next to all of the bacon. Now, these are not the healthiest options in the world, but they in some ways are better than regular meat and can be useful for people who are transitioning from a meat-heavy diet to a plant-based one. Target also has lots of plant-based yogurt options, such as almond milk yogurt and coconut milk yogurt. Now, these are sweetened, but can be used as a treat sometimes. Target does have tons of hummus, which are all vegan and pretty delicious. They do have added oil to them, but if you need something for quick meals that is relatively healthy, check these out. Target is also really good about having lots of plant-based milks and creamers. If you like to have creamer sometimes in your coffee or your tea, I highly suggest going with my favorite version, which is Nut Pods. It's made out of almond and coconut milk, and you don't actually have to have a lot of it in your coffee or tea to make it be nice and creamy. And it also has no added sugar, but it's still delicious. It comes in multiple flavors, including caramel and pumpkin spice. Target also has low-fat Oatly, which is the type of Oatly that I recommend. Normal Oatly has a little bit of oil in it. However, low-fat Oatly is just as delicious, but doesn't have any oil in it whatsoever, which makes it really wonderful. It's also supplemented with some calcium and a little bit of vitamin D too, so highly suggest you check it out, but it is a little bit expensive. One of my favorite types of plant milk is the unsweetened organic soy milk by Silk. It's actually pretty delicious and naturally is high in calcium and is pretty low in ingredients. It also has about 4 grams of fat and 7 grams of protein in it, which is really good if you happen to be looking to eat a little bit more protein. Now, Silk also has an oat milk, but I didn't like it. You can try it if you want to, but it wasn't my favorite. Target also has a really good freezer section for vegetables, and that's a wonderful way to keep vegetables in your house even when getting fresh produce is not as available. They also have an entire section of frozen meals, and specifically a section of frozen meals for vegans, which is really cool. I don't suggest using these every day, but if you need a quick meal sometimes, this is a thing that you can use. Target also has a really good bread section and most of the bread there does happen to be vegan. I highly suggest looking into whole wheat bread instead of white bread because it is a lot healthier. However, we need to make sure that we're getting the right thing. So let me teach you how to do this. This is one of my favorite types of bread to get. It is a little bit expensive, but if you flip it over, you can see that the first ingredient is whole wheat. So the government actually allows any bread that has any amount of whole wheat in it to be called a whole wheat bread. Therefore, in order to make sure that we're getting an actually healthy whole wheat bread, we need to check the ingredients list. This particular bread is a little bit expensive though. Here's another bread that I really like. If you flip it over, the first ingredient is whole wheat, but that one is also fairly expensive. Now let's look at another example. So this one says grains and seeds on it also, and so that makes you think that it's going to be kind of healthy. But when you flip it over and look at the ingredients, the first ingredient is not whole wheat flour. It's enriched wheat flour, which means that this is actually a refined carb product. So you don't want that. On the other hand, when you look at the Dave's Killer Bread English muffins, the first flour listed is whole wheat flour, which makes this a good choice for English muffins. Target also has a really big peanut butter section, but not necessarily every peanut butter is going to be as good as the next. So let's check out how to pick out a good peanut butter. This is my favorite type of peanut butter for two reasons. Number one, it comes in a glass jar, and number two, there's only one ingredient in it: peanuts. And this is the way that peanut butter should be. However, this isn't always the case. This is a very common peanut butter that a lot of people use. However, when you flip it over and look at the ingredients, it includes this thing called hydrogenated oils. While partially hydrogenated oils have been removed from the food supply in the United States because they are trans fats, fully hydrogenated oils are still considered safe to be used, even though it's taking a polyunsaturated fat and transforming it into a saturated fat. So you don't want to eat that. Now, Target is also really good about having loads of options of canned soups. Now, I don't use these all the time, but I do happen to be a student, and sometimes it can be pretty useful. My favorite brand is Amy's because all their canned soups are vegan, and this black bean vegetable soup is my absolute favorite. You've got to try it. The coolest thing about it is that it only contains a little bit of oil, and other than that, it's basically whole foods for the entire soup, which is a lot different than some other options. Now at Target, they have a surprisingly large selection of dry beans and grains. If you need to do meals really quickly, I suggest checking out this 90-second steam in a bag brown rice. It's a good way to include some more whole grains into your diet. They also have dry lentils, which cook really quickly in about 15 minutes on the stovetop. Target also has a fairly large pasta and pasta sauce selection, and they have some pretty cool healthy pastas too, such as this bean protein pasta by Berea, and this one by Bonanza. Also, this whole grain spaghetti, which would be really good to pair with some of their sauces. Now, I'm not going to go through all of their sauces and show which ones are vegan because most are. However, they do have a large selection, which is good for being able to make some quick meals with pasta. Now, Target does have a selection of breakfast cereals, but most of them have added sugars. However, they also have oatmeal on this aisle. I suggest avoiding the ones with added sugars and going straight for the bottom where they have their old-fashioned oats and their quick oats if you need something to cook quicker. Target also has a big selection of nuts and dried fruit. From this aisle, these three are my favorite. The Blue Diamond almonds are super delicious. I've tried all three of these flavors, but I also want to try the Thai sweet chili. However, they have a honey flavor that is not vegan. Target also has dried fruit, and I just realized that they have some really inexpensive dates. So if you're looking to get some dates to sweeten some things, check out Target, because they're a really good price. Target also has applesauce, which is vegan, but also is really good for low-fat baking. You can use it to replace oil when making muffins or breads or other types of baked goods. Target also has a big selection of protein bars, and most of them don't have whole foods in them, but Laura bars do. They're made out of mostly dates, but usually have some kind of nuts or flavor items in it as well. This is one of my favorite types. Also on this aisle are crackers, and my favorite type is Triscuit because they're very simple and only have whole grains, oil, and sea salt. Target also has lots of other things that I didn't cover, such as ice creams and other sorts of desserts for vegans as well. My phone kind of died while I was there before I could show any of that. But let's head on home now. Hey everyone, so I literally just got back from going grocery shopping, and I went to Target, but I also actually ran by my usual grocery store as well, just to be able to pick up a couple of other things. So let's see what I got to be able to make food for this week. So here's basically what I got. Now let's kind of go through it a little bit. These are some good English muffins that I actually haven't had before. I'm gonna try them this time. I tried a different type last week, but I hope these are as good. I did wind up getting some of the low-fat Oatly because it's the type that's without oil, and I've never actually tried Oatly before. It was a little bit expensive at about $5, but just for trying it this one time, I think I'm okay with that. When I went to Sprouts, I got a couple cans of pumpkin because I'm gonna make my pumpkin tahini butter this week, which is really delicious. Let me know if you want that recipe. I'm thinking about including it in another breakfast videos section. I'm also going through and trying all the protein bars that they have at my local Sprouts. So these are the ones that I got for this week. This one's new and is supposedly pretty popular. I've tried different Aloha bars before, but I haven't tried this one, and this one's also new to me. So we'll see how those taste. Let me know if you want me to do a video on protein bars and why I think they're not necessarily something that you should be having every day, but is more of a treat. I also got some pumpkin pie spice to go in my tahini pumpkin butter, and I get it in this bag and then I put it in here. Another thing that I did wind up getting at Target was this tomato sauce. I'm going to be making jambalaya this week, and I already have a lot of the stuff for it, but I needed this one last ingredient. Here's my favorite type of peanut butter. And finally, onion, Swiss chard, and kale. I got these three to be able to include into my cooking for this week. This is probably going to go with my pasta, and this one is going to go in the jambalaya. So I like getting red onions rather than other types because they actually have more antioxidants in them. Fun fact. Alright, so I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any content ideas down in the comment section because I really love to hear from everyone. And I hope that you always remember to love God, eat greens, get moving. See you in the next video.